Hi everyone, I'm Helen from Susan's family. Today I'd like to introduce to you all the Secret Garden series Yili short cardigan. It consists of the main part, the cuffs, the collar edge, the bottom edge and brooch button are also included. The main part is made by joining together individual motifs. First, crochet and join the motifs. Then, crochet the sleeve cuffs along the corresponding areas, and also the collar edge and bottom edge. Finally, attach the brooch button in the proper position. Let's start by crocheting the main part. It's made up of 5 different motifs joined together. Start by making and joining the motifs one. Then proceed to make and attach the remaining motifs. There are a lot of motif ones in terms of quantity and position distribution here. For convenient explanation, I've divided the area where motif 1 is distributed into the back piece area, right front piece area, left front piece area, and underarm area. The left and right sides here are based on the actual left and right when worn. Refer to the layout diagram for the other motifs. Then sequentially join them to the proper positions. First, crochet and join motif 1. Here, only the first motif 1 is fully crocheted. The rest of the motif 1s need to be joined as you go on the last round. Let's start with the first motif 1. Use the chain ring method to begin. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. The stitch techniques used include chain stitches, single crochets, DC3 bobble, half double crochets, and slip stitches. Watch me demonstrate the specific crochet method. In practice, variegated yarn is used for crocheting. Since this yarn has different starting color segments, the effect of the crocheted piece will also vary slightly. You can refer to the finished product, or choose your preferred starting color segment based on your preference. For convenience while watching, I will use thicker yarn for this demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, the color scheme and hook sizes can be referenced from the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. First, start with a chain stitch. Hang the yarn with your left hand. Make a knot. Note that the starting knot doesn't count as one stitch. Tighten it slightly. Then crochet 4 more chain stitches. Next, pick up the first chain's braid. Take the strand above. Work 1 slip stitch to join. Note that this joining slip stitch doesn't count as one stitch. You can choose not to tighten it. At this point, the magic ring with chain stitches is completed. Begin crocheting the first round. Start with a chain 1 as your beginning chain. This beginning chain doesn't count as one stitch. Then pick up the circle formed by the starting chain. Crochet 1 single crochet into the center. While crocheting, keep the yarn tail of the starting chain on top. Hide the yarn tail as you crochet. Continue crocheting 11 single crochets into the starting ring center. Pay attention to hiding the starting tail while crocheting. If it's hard to hook, you can move the already crocheted part forward. Continue crocheting. After completing, check the stitch count. Add the first stitch. This round has 12 single crochets. Here you can count the single crochet stitches. That is, the chain stitches on the upper right of the stitch pattern. Note that the loop on the hook is not included. Finally, pick up the first single crochet stitch. Join with a slip stitch. The slip stitch joining the beginning and end should be tightened. This prevents adding extra stitches later. The first round is now complete. You can trim the remaining yarn tail from the starting chain. The side with neat stitch texture from the first round is the right side of the piece. All following rounds will be crocheted on the right side. Move on to crochet the second round. You will need to make a DC3 bobble. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Then, pick up the first single crochet stitch. This is where the previous slip stitch was inserted. Crochet 2 incomplete double crochets. Yarn over, insert into the stitch. Yarn over and draw through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. There are 2 loops remaining. This is an incomplete double crochet. Continue with another incomplete double crochet. Now there should be 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. That completes the DC3 bobble. Here we start with a turning chain. The technique is a bit special. Crochet 4 chain stitches as spaces between stitches. Then skip 1 stitch to the left. Pick up a stitch and work a DC3 bobble. First, pick up the stitch and work 3 incomplete double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now there are 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. That completes the DC3 bobble stitch. Then crochet 4 chain stitches as spaces between stitches. Skip 1 stitch below. Work a DC3 bobble. Then crochet 4 chain stitches as spaces between stitches. Next, skip 1 single crochet stitch below. Work another DC3 bobble, with 4 chain stitches in between as intervals. Continue crocheting downward. Finish the last DC3 bobble stitch. Crochet 2 chain stitches downward. Then pick up the stitch of the first special bobble stitch. That is, the horizontal braid on the left side of the beginning chain. Work 1/2 double crochet here. This half double crochet equals the height of 2 chain stitches. At the same time, join the beginning and ending together. The second round is complete. Continue with the third round. Pick up where the previous yarn end left off. Start with 1 chain stitch as the beginning chain. The beginning chain doesn't count as 1 stitch. Then insert the hook into the chain space below. Work 1 single crochet. Then crochet 6 chain stitches as an interval. pick the chain space on the left below. Work 1 single crochet. 6 chain stitches for the interval. Next, pick up the chain spaces from the previous round and work single crochets, with 6 chain stitches in between each. Finish with 1 single crochet in the last chain space. Crochet 3 chain stitches downward. Then pick the stitch of the starting single crochet, work 1 double crochet. Here, the double crochet is equivalent to the length of 3 chain stitches. It joins the beginning and ending simultaneously. The third round is complete. Next, we'll work on the fourth round. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain, then pick up the chain space below and make 1 single crochet. After that, crochet 9 chain stitches for the interval. Next, pick up the chain spaces from the previous round and work single crochets, with 9 chain stitches in between each. Finish with 1 single crochet in the last chain space. Continue with 9 chain stitches. Then pick up the stitch of the first single crochet. Join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The fourth round is completed. Now for the fifth round. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. This doesn't count as 1 stitch. Then pick up the chain space to the left. Work 1 single crochet in each. 1/2 double crochet. 5 double crochets. Three chain stitches. Then 5 more double crochets in the same position. One half double crochet. 1 single crochet. I consider the stitches worked into one space as one group of petals. Continue down, picking up chain spaces to crochet petals. Let me demonstrate it again. Pick up the whole and work 1 single crochet. 1/2 double crochet. 5 double crochets. Then chain 3. 5 double crochets. 1/2 double crochet, 1 single crochet. Another group of petals is completed. Continue with more petals. Finish with the last group of petals. Pick up a stitch in the starting single crochet, and join with a slip stitch. No need to pull tight for this slip stitch. Proceed with finishing the stitch. Enlarge the loop first. Leave a little yarn tail. Cut the yarn. Then count 2 stitches to the left. Insert the hook from the back of the corresponding stitch. Pull the reserved yarn through. Insert again from the back into the center of the slip stitch. Draw the yarn through. Make a small adjustment. Then secure with 1 chain stitch on the wrong side. It's like tying a knot. Hide the remaining strands at the back of the fabric. You can hide a few more stitches if you want. That's it for the 5th round. At this point, the first motif is done. Now check the dimension by referring to the chart. Continue crocheting and joining the rest of the motifs. Follow the layout diagram sequence. Let's start by joining the motifs in the back piece area, and follow the order from bottom to top, and from left to right for joining. Here, the first motif is the first motif of the first row in the back piece area. Then crochet and join the second motif. First, follow the method used for the first motif, and complete the first 4 rounds. I've already finished these here. Now continue with the final round. You need to crochet the petals. Here, motif 2 needs to connect with motif 1. At the position of 2 petals, first, crochet up to the position before the petal you need to connect. The petal position can be random. I start connecting at the second petal position. So first crochet up to the second petal. When you reach the corresponding position, pick up the chain space, and work 1 single crochet, then 1/2 double crochet, 5 double crochets. Then work 1 chain stitch. Next, pick up motif 1 and place it right side facing up. Insert the hook into any petal's chain space. Work 1 slip stitch to join. Here you insert from the front side of the fabric. If the slip stitch is a bit loose, you can tighten it gently. Then continue with 1 chain stitch. Go back to motif 2. Pick the same chain space. Work 5 double crochets. 1 half double crochet, 1 single crochet. This connects one petal position. Here, at the petals chain stitch. The center stitch of 3 chains becomes a slip stitch to join the motifs. You still need to connect the adjacent petals. Follow the same method. Crochet until just before the chain stitch position. When you reach the corresponding position, work 1 chain stitch. Then, at the adjacent petal of motif 1, insert from the front into the chain space, and work 1 slip stitch to join, mindful that all slip stitches are inserted from the right side. Then, work 1 chain stitch. Go back to motif 2. Complete this petal. After finishing, you will have connected another petal position. After completing, it connects again to another petal position. The remaining petals do not need connection. Crochet accordingly. After completion, slip stitch with the first stitch. Bind off. Secure the yarn tail on the wrong side. Then hide it inside the fabric. Everyone can complete it on their own. At this point, motif 2 is completed. It has been connected to one side of motif 1. Then continue crocheting and connect motif 1 of row 3. It needs to be connected to motif 2. Similarly, connect 2 petal positions, and the connection position should be symmetrical to the previous one. The method of connection here is identical to that of motif 2. First, crochet up to the 5th round, before the petal position that needs to be connected. My swatch has reached the corresponding position. Crochet and connect 1 petal. After completing, continue crocheting and connecting the next petal. The remaining petals will not be connected afterward. Crochet accordingly. After completion, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Then bind off. Secure the yarn tail and hide it on the wrong side. Everyone can complete it on their own. At this point, the explanation of motif 3 is completed. For the remaining motifs in this row, crochet and connect them all using the same method as motif 3. Pay attention to maintaining symmetry in the connection positions compared to the previous ones. After connecting, the motifs will form a horizontal row. Make sure not to connect in the wrong position. Everyone can independently complete the connection of the first row motifs. After completing, connect the first motifs of the second row. Start by connecting the first motif 1 in this row. Let's take a look at the layout diagram. The chart I'm using here is for teaching purposes only. In practice, everyone should follow the actual physical piece you have in hand. Here, the motif needs to be connected to the first motif 1 of the previous row. And it connects with the 2 corners on the upper left side of the previous row's motif 1. Here, 1 petal's chain space is equivalent to 1 corner. Then crochet to the position where the petals need to be connected. The petal position for connecting the first motif 1 can be chosen at random. My sample has already been crocheted to the petal position needed for connection. Continue crocheting and connect 2 petals downward. Leave the remaining parts unconnected after completion. Crochet accordingly. Finally, join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. Then bind off, secure the yarn tail, and weave in the end. Everyone can finish this on your own. That concludes the explanation for the first motif 1 of the second row. Next, we'll explain the second motif 1 of this row. It needs to be connected to the first motif 1. Additionally, it must also connect to the motif 1 from the previous row. Here, you need to connect 4 corners. That is, 4 petals. 2 petals connect to the first motif 1. Connect 2 petals with motif 1 below. Crochet until you reach the position where the petals need to be connected. My swatch has reached the corresponding position. Then, follow the previous arrangement method. Connect the 2 petals that correspond to the first motif 1. when you encounter a position that was already connected before. Here you can pick up the same chain space, previously connected with a slip stitch. Use that same hole for the connection. You can also pick the location of the connecting slip stitch. Pick up 2 strands and insert the hook. Connect with a slip stitch. Continue to finish crocheting this petal. Then connect 2 corresponding petals with the previous row of motifs. After completion, leave the remaining petals unconnected. Crochet correspondingly. Everyone can complete it on their own. That's all for the explanation of motif 1 number 2. The remaining motifs in this row, the connection method for the remaining rows of motifs is the same. Each time, connect at the chain stitch of the petals. Refer to the layout diagram for the insertion position. Everyone, be mindful not to connect in the wrong direction. That concludes the explanation of motif 1 for the back piece area. Next, I will explain motif 1 for the left and right front piece areas. Here, connect separately. Similarly, follow the order from bottom to top, and from left to right, connecting sequentially. Just refer to the layout schematic diagram for the connection. Finally, let's go over the connection of motif 1 in the underarm area. Here, each petal needs to be connected. Among them, 3 petals are connected to the front piece, and 3 petals are connected to the back piece. Refer to the underarm connection diagram. Crochet the petals and connect them at the guideline positions. After connecting, a sleeve hole will form on the inner side. Everyone, refer to the pattern chart to complete it on your own. The connection between the front piece and motif 1 in the underarm area. That concludes the explanation of motif 1 for now. Next, we will discuss motif 2. The first 3 rounds here are identical to motif 1. In the 4th round, there is an adjustment in the stitch pattern at 1 chain space position. No new stitches appear. Everyone can directly refer to the chart to complete the first 4 rounds. After completing them, crochet the last row. Here, only part of it needs to be crocheted. It's also about picking up chain spaces to crochet petals and connecting at the petal chain stitch. First, continue with the previous yarn. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then crochet and connect the petals downward. There are a total of 5 petals here. Refer to the layout chart for the petal connection positions. The placement of the motifs varies here, so the number of petals that need to be connected is different, but the connection method is the same. My swatch requires connecting 3 petals here. Correspondingly crochet and connect them. After finishing, pick the adjacent single crochet stitch. Crochet a slip stitch to secure it. Then break the yarn. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. At this point, motif 2 is crocheted and connected. The remaining motif 2s are crocheted in the same way. Refer to the layout chart for the number of petals to connect. Everyone, complete crocheting and connecting the remaining motif 2s. That concludes the explanation of motif 2. Next, I will explain motif 3. Here, we only crochet half of the area of motif 1, following the back and forth crocheting method. It involves two new stitch techniques, the DC2 bobble stitch and the DTR. Please watch as I demonstrate. Start with a chain ring method. The technique is identical to the starting point of motif 1. Then crochet row 1. Make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Pick up the center and crochet 7 single crochets. Once completed, row 1 is done. Continue with row 2. Start with 3 chains as your beginning chains. Turn your work. Crochet into the edges of the single crochets from the previous row. Here, when crocheting on the wrong side of the row, the stitch will be located at the upper left. Pick up the stitch and crochet 1 double crochet. Then continue following the chart for crocheting. Crochet all the way until just before the position of the DC2 bobble stitch. When you reach the corresponding position, pick up the edge stitch from the single crochet below. Crochet 2 incomplete double crochets. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops in once. This completes the DC2 bobble stitch. At this point, row 2 is finished. Move on to row 3. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then turn your work. Pick up the stitch of the bobble from the previous row, that is, the braid located at the top left at this moment. Work 1 single crochet. Then crochet 3 chain stitches. Pick up the hole on the left and work 1 single crochet. Continue following the chart for crocheting. For the final single crochet, work it into the edge of the previous row, specifically into the stitch of the double crochet, that is, the braid next to the beginning chain. After completing this, the third row is finished. Next, work on the 4th row. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Turn your work. Pick up the stitch of the single crochet from the edge of the previous row. Work 1 single crochet. Then continue following the chart for crocheting. The final single crochet should be worked into the edge single crochet of the previous row. At this point, the 4th row is completed. Now crochet the 5th row. You need to crochet petals and connect them. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Turn your work. Correspondingly, make 1 single crochet. Then pick up the chain spaces on the left to crochet petals and connections. Depending on the distribution position, the number of petals that need to be connected will vary. In my sample, I need to connect 3 petals here. At the same time, there are also edges that need to be connected. First, correspondingly crochet and connect 3 petals. After connecting the 3rd petal. Below this, in my work, there's a motif 3 in the adjacent position. So I need to make an edge connection. Here, crochet 3 double treble crochets for the connection. If there is no motif 3 in the adjacent position, then simply pick up the adjacent stitch and crochet a single crochet. Next, I'll demonstrate the edge connection. Start by crocheting 3 double treble crochets. Wrap the yarn around the hook 3 times. Then find the single crochet stitch on the edge of the adjacent motif 3. Insert the hook into that stitch. Yarn over. And draw through. At this point, there will be 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 4 times. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4 times. This completes the double treble crochet. Then go back to the current motif 3. Pick up the single crochet stitch from the edge of the previous row. Work 1 slip stitch to secure it in place. This completes the connection at the edge position. Cut the yarn. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. At this point, one motif 3 is completed. Complete the remaining motif 3 in the same way. When connecting here, if there is no adjacent motif 3, then no connection is needed at the edge. When there is an adjacent motif 3, a connection is required at the edge. All connections are made by crocheting double treble crochet. After completing, go back to the current motif. Work 1 slip stitch to secure it. Everyone can refer to the layout diagram. After completing the crocheting and connection of motif 3, we will now explain motif 4. The method is similar to motif 3. Use the chain ring method again. Then crochet back and forth. The starting chain and row 1 are identical to motif 3. Everyone can refer to the chart to finish it. After completion, work row 2. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. These 3 chains count as 1 double crochet, then turn the work over. Crochet 2 chain stitches as intervals below. Pick up the adjacent stitch on the left. Pay attention that the turning chain corresponds to the edge stitch here. Pick up the second stitch from the left below. Work a DC3 bobble. Continue referring to the chart for the rest of the crocheting. Work the last double crochet into the single crochet stitch on the edge. Row 2 is now completed. Next, start row 3. Start with 1 chain stitch as the beginning chain. Turn the work over, pick up the edge stitch below and work 1 single crochet into it. Then continue crocheting by referring to the chart. Work the last single crochet into the turning chain on the edge. Pick up the 3rd chain stitch from the turning chain. Insert the hook under both loops and crochet. You can also pick up the hole underneath and crochet directly. This completes row 3. Continue with row 4. Start with 2 chain stitches as the beginning chain. Turn the work over. Crochet 4 chain stitches for the interval below. Then continue crocheting by following the chart. Work the last stitch as 1/2 double crochet. Crochet it into the edge single crochet from the previous row. Row 4 is now complete. Continue with row 5 below. You will need to crochet and connect the petals. The edges on both sides also need to be connected here. Crochet 4 chain stitches first. Then turn the work over. Refer to the layout chart below. Locate the position that needs joining. Insert the hook and make a slip stitch. Then crochet 1 chain stitch. Pick up the chain space on the left. Crochet half of a petal. That is, 5 double crochets. And 1/2 double crochet. 1 single crochet. Then correspondingly crochet, and connect 2 petals. After completion, crochet half a petal downwards. A connection is needed below. Crochet 1 chain stitch first. Then pick the corresponding hole of the adjacent motif. Or the slip stitch position. Connect with a slip stitch. Then crochet 1 chain stitch. Pick the hole of the current motif, and continue with 1 double crochet. Then fasten off the tail. At this point, the 5th round is completed. Meanwhile, 1 motif 4 is also completed. The method for crocheting and connecting the rest of the motifs 4 is the same. Pay attention that a motif 4 needs to be joined at the underarm position. Here, both ends are joined with motif 1 corresponding to the armhole. At the centered 2 petals position, join it with the previous separate motif 1. The joining method is the same. Everyone can refer to the layout diagram to complete the remaining motifs 4. Now let's move on to motif 5. There are only 2 motifs 5 here, and both are located at the underarm positions. Use the chain ring method to start. Then crochet back and forth. The first 4 rows do not involve any new stitch techniques or methods. You can directly refer to the chart for crocheting. After that, in the 5th row, the edge positions need to be joined. I will demonstrate the method. Once it's done, crochet the 5th row. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Turn your work. Then pick up the single crochet position on the edge of the adjacent motif 3 on the right. Work a DTR to connect. Next, pick up the large chain space on the left. Crochet and connect 4 petals. After completing, join the edges. Pick up the adjacent single crochet on the edge of motif 3 on the left. Crochet 1 DTR. Then go back to motif 5. Pick up the edge single crochet, and work a slip stitch to secure it. After that, fasten off the yarn and weave in the ends. At this point, 1 motif 5 is completed. The other motif 5 is done in the same way. Everyone can finish it on their own. This way, all motifs have been explained. After connecting the motifs here, there will be 1 sleeve opening on each side. Below is a row of motif 3. The position corresponding to the underarm is motif 5. The collar edge forms this kind of arc. Up to this point, the main part has been explained. Next, we will crochet the cuff edges. Crochet in rounds along the sleeve opening position. The methods for both cuff edges are the same here. The new stitches used include double crochet 1 DC3 and 1 treble crochet TR2 bobble. Please watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Here, I'm demonstrating with a small swatch. Find the position of motif 4 at the underarm, on the edge of the second row, on the left side of the fabric, where there is a double crochet stitch. Pick up its stitch for joining the yarn. Make a slip knot with the yarn. Draw through. Adjust slightly. Complete the joining of the yarn. Then, make 2 chain stitches to start. These 2 chains count as 1/2 double crochet. Then, work 3 chain stitches as an interval. Skip the single crochets on the left. Pick up 1 stitch from the edge of the row below. This is the position for the half double crochet. Pick its stitch. Work 1/2 double crochet. If you can't find the exact position, you can pick up 2 strands of yarn from the edge. As long as it's secure, that's fine. Insert the hook and work the stitch. Then, crochet 3 chain stitches for the interval. Next, at the motif 1 position in the sleeve hole area, pick up the adjacent petal's chain space, and insert the hook. Work 1 double crochet. If you want the position to be centered here, you can also insert the hook under 2 strands of the slip stitch connection. After completing it, crochet 3 chain stitches as an interval. Then, pick the 5th stitch on the left. Pick the stitch and work 1/2 double crochet. 3 chain stitches as an interval. Then, pick the first stitch of the next petal's 5 double crochets. Work 1/2 double crochet. 3 chain stitches as an interval. Next, pick the chain space of the left petal, and work 1 slip stitch. The slip stitch doesn't need to be tightened here. The chart indicates this with an oval-shaped dot. Then continue with 3 chain stitches as an interval. Pick the 5th stitch on the left, and work 1/2 double crochet. 3 chain stitches as an interval. Then pick the first stitch of the next petal's 5 double crochets. The first stitch of the 5 double crochets. Work a half double crochet. 3 chain stitches as an interval. Here, consider the double crochets of this part of the motif, up to this position, as one group. Above motif 1. All groups will be worked following this pattern. You can also refer specifically to the chart. Continue crocheting downward. When you reach above motif 4, here pick the insertion position for the left side double crochet. This chain space on the edge, work 1/2 double crochet. 3 chains as an interval. Adjacent, pick the insertion point for a single crochet, work 1/2 double crochet. 3 chains as an interval. Then pick the center of the stitch. Work 1 slip stitch. 3 chains as an interval. Below, you'll reach the starting position. Pick the second chain of the beginning chain. Insert and work a slip stitch joining with 2 strands of yarn. The slip stitch that connects the beginning and end needs to be tightened. At this point, the first round is complete. Move on to crochet the second round. Start with 1 chain as your turning chain, then pick the left chain space. Crochet 3 single crochets. You can weave in the yarn tail while crocheting. Then, pick each chain space and insert your hook. In each space, crochet 3 single crochets. Continue until you finish this round. After completing the last space, please check the stitch count. Finally, pick the starting single crochet and join with a slip stitch. Tighten it. Next, you will need to change colors. Fasten off the yarn. Weave the tail to the wrong side. You can finish this step on your own. That's how you complete round 2. Continue to round 3. Join the yarn at the second stitch, on the left side of the starting single crochet from the previous round. Make 3 beginning chains, which count as 1 double crochet, then skip the next 2 single crochets. Pick up the stitch from the following single crochet, work a DC 3 in 1, that means make 3 double crochets in the same position. Complete the DC 3 in 1. Then skip the next 2 stitches. Work another DC 3 in 1. For the rest of this row, keep skipping 2 stitches, and then working a DC 3 in 1. Finish all remaining DC 3 in 1 clusters. Complete this last DC 3 in 1. Then skip the next 2 stitches. When you reach the turning chain position, insert your hook in the same insertion point. Make 2 double crochets. Add the initial turning chain. This is equivalent to making a DC 3 in 1. Finally, pick up the top chain from the turning chains. Insert the hook under 2 strands and work a slip stitch join. Tighten the yarn. The third round is complete. Continue with the fourth round. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Work 1 single crochet in the same position. Insert your hook into the hole created by the previous slip stitch. Then make 2 chains for space. Skip 2 stitches to the left. Work 1 single crochet. Make 2 chains for space. Skip 2 stitches and work a single crochet. Separate each single crochet with 2 chains. Continue crocheting following this method. After completing the last 2 chain stitches, skip 2 stitches. You'll reach the starting position for the single crochet. Pick up the stitch and join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. The 4th round is now completed. Next, we'll work on the 5th round. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet. Then create a space of 7 chain stitches. Pick the adjacent single crochet on the left side, and work a single crochet. Chain 7 as an interval. Then skip the adjacent single crochet on the left. Pick the next single crochet position, and work a single crochet. Treat the initial 7 chains to this single crochet as one group. Continue crocheting by repeating this group method. You can also refer to the chart for more details. For the last group, finish with 1 single crochet. Crochet 3 chain stitches afterward. Then skip the single crochet position on the left. Reach the starting single crochet position. Pick up the stitch, insert the hook, and work 1 treble crochet. Yarn over twice. Insert. Yarn over and draw through. There are 4 loops on the hook right now. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Repeat this 3 times. 1 time. 2 times. 3 times. The treble crochet is done. This treble crochet is equivalent to the length of 4 chain stitches. At the same time, the beginning and end are connected here. Round 5 is now complete. Move on to round 6. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Then pick up the chain space below. Crochet 3 single crochets. Followed by 2 chain stitches for the interval. Pick up the chain space on the left. Crochet 1 double crochet. 5 chain stitches. Continue with another double crochet in the same position. 2 chain stitches for the interval. Then pick up the next chain space. Crochet 5 single crochets. The position of 2 chains to 5 single crochets is considered as one group. After that, just repeat this group method for crocheting. Continue crocheting downward. Crochet until you reach the starting hole position. There are already 3 single crochets here from before. Add 2 more single crochets. This completes the last group. Finally, pick up the first single crochet stitch and slip stitch. Pull tight. The 6th round is completed. Continue with the 7th round. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet. Move on to work 4 chain stitches as the interval. Pick up the hole from the 5 chain stitches on the left side below. Crochet a DT or 2 bobble stitch. First, work 2 incomplete treble crochets. Wrap the yarn twice. Insert the hook. Yarn over and draw through. Then yarn over and pass through the first 2 loops on your hook. Repeat this 2 times. Now there are 2 loops left. This is an incomplete treble crochet. Continue with another incomplete treble crochet. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through once. Complete the DT or 2 bobble stitch. Then work 3 chain stitches as the interval. Work another DT or 2 bobble in the same position. Start with 2 incomplete treble crochets. Finally, yarn over and draw through once. Complete the DT or 2 bobble. Continue by picking up the same hole. Work with 3 chains. Then do 1 DT or 2 bobble. Repeat this 2 times. After completing, check it. Here there are 4 bobble stitches. Each is separated by 3 chain stitches intervals. I consider the bobble stitch and its intervals as one puff stitch pattern set. Afterwards, work 4 chain stitches as an interval. Pick the center stitch of the 5 single crochets on the left side. Make 1 single crochet. Then work 4 chain stitches for the interval. Next, pick the hole from the 5 chain stitches on the left side. Crochet a bobble stitch pattern. That is, in one hole, work 4 DT or 2 bobble, with 3 chain stitches intervals between them. After completing, move down and pick the holes from the 5 chain stitches respectively. Crochet the bobble stitch pattern. Pick the center stitch of the 5 single crochets. Crochet a single crochet. Between the single crochet and the bobble stitch pattern, there is an interval of 4 chain stitches. Repeat this process, and continue crocheting downward. After finishing the last group of bobble stitch patterns, move down to pick the starting position of the single crochet. Crochet 1 TR. At this point, the 7th round is completed. Finally, crochet the 8th round. Start with 1 chain stitch as the beginning chain. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet. Here, pick up the large hole below and insert the hook to crochet. Then pick the chain space on the left. Crochet 1 single crochet. Next, pick the stitch of the puff stitch. Crochet 1 single crochet. Pick the adjacent chain space. Crochet 3 single crochets. At the position of the bobble stitch, pick up the stitch and make 1 single crochet. Work 2 single crochets into the hole on the left side. Then, make 6 chain stitches. Next, pick up the stitch of the single crochet below. Pick its front strand and 1 strand from the left side. Make 1 slip stitch. Then continue with 8 chain stitches. Pick the same insertion point as the previous slip stitch. Make 1 slip stitch. Then continue with 6 chain stitches. Work 1 slip stitch in the same spot as the previous slip stitch. Here, I will treat the beginning and ending slip stitches along with the stitches in between as one leaf. Look at this as a single leaf motif. Then continue by picking up the chain space below. Work 2 single crochets. Work 1 single crochet into the left stitch. Work 3 single crochets into the adjacent hole. Work 1 single crochet into the stitch position. Work 1 single crochet into the left chain area. Work the short stitches above and to the left and right holes of the bobble stitch pattern. Treat this as a group, then repeat this group of stitches. Let me demonstrate it again. First, pick up the hole on the left and work a single crochet. Work 1 single crochet into the stitch position. Work 3 single crochets into the chain space made by 3 chains. Work 1 single crochet into the stitch position. Work 2 single crochets into the adjacent chain space. Then crochet a leaf. First, make 6 chains. Pick up the front loop of the single crochet stitch below and the left thread. Crochet a slip stitch. Then make 8 chains. Pick up the slip stitch below. Make 6 more chains. Pick up the slip stitch below again. The leaf is completed, then continue by picking up the hole below and making 2 single crochets. Make 1 single crochet into the left stitch. Make 3 single crochets into the chain space. Make 1 single crochet at the stitch position. Then make 1 single crochet into the hole of 4 chains. Another group is completed. Next, everyone can refer to the previous steps and the chart. Continue crocheting. finish crocheting the last bobble stitch. Add the starting single crochet. This completes the final group. Then pick up the starting single crochet and join with a slip stitch. There's no need to pull tight here. Proceed to finish off the stitches. Secure the yarn tail on the wrong side, and weave it into the fabric. Weaving in the ends is for you to complete. At this point, the 8th round is done. This completes one cuff edge. The other cuff edge is done the same way. You can complete it on your own. That concludes the explanation of the cuff edges. Next, we will explain the collar edge. Follow the area along the front band and neckline. Work along the region of the button band and neckline. Crochet back and forth. The pattern here is the same as the one for the cuff edge. It's just a different way of crocheting. Row 1 is crocheted on the wrong side of the fabric. Start from the bottom edge below the right side of the front band. Work motif 3 on the edge. Insert the hook into the first stitch on the edge to join the yarn. Then refer to the chart and crochet accordingly. The stitch techniques and insertion points here are all standardized and guided by the chart. If you really can't tell the position, just insert the hook into an approximate corresponding spot. As long as the number of stitches matches the chart, and the insertion point is secure, it will be fine. Centered around 3 motif 2s in the middle of the neckline. The insertion positions and crochet stitches on both sides should be symmetrical. Continue crocheting down to the bottom of the left side of the front band, at the edge of motif 3 on the side. On the second row, except for the first stitch, which is inserted into the corresponding stitch from the previous row, all others are inserted into chain spaces and worked with corresponding single crochets. For the areas of the 2 front bands, alternate between crocheting 3 stitches into 1 space and 4 stitches into 1 space. In the neckline area, crochet 3 stitches into each space. This makes it more convenient for crocheting. You can mark the area first. From the edge all the way to just before the first motif 2. Mark at the single crochet position between 2 motifs. You can use a stitch marker for marking. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can cut a piece of yarn and use it as a marker. Insert the hook into the corresponding stitch position. Draw the yarn through. Then tie off at the corresponding stitch position to mark it. The other side is in the same position. Before the first motif 2. Mark the single crochet position between 2 motifs. Then, from the edge to the marked position. On the collar edge, alternate crocheting 3 stitches and 4 stitches. Above the remaining marked area, crochet 3 stitches into each chain space following the pattern. After crocheting is finished, check the total stitch count. For the remaining rows afterward, work back and forth along the area of the previous row. Pay attention, when you reach the third row, you need to change colors. Change colors at the first stitch of the second row. Then continue crocheting back and forth. No new stitches or methods are used. Everyone can directly refer to the chart. Complete crocheting for the collar edge. Note that after finishing the last row here, don't cut the yarn. Continue crocheting the bottom edge afterward. That concludes the explanation of crocheting the collar area. Next, I'll explain how to crochet the bottom edge, along the collar section and hem edge. Work back and forth. A new stitch technique is used here, the CH3SL picket. Please watch as I demonstrate. Here, I'm using this sample swatch for the demonstration. Continuing with the yarn tail from the collar, pick up the treble crochet stitches along the edge moving left. Work 1 single crochet. Then pick up the treble crochet, crochet 4 single crochets. At the adjacent single crochet position, pick up the gap along the edge and work 1 single crochet. In the double crochet position, pick up and work 3 single crochets. In the single crochet position, correspondingly work 1 single crochet. In the double crochet position, correspondingly work 3 single crochets. In the single crochet position, work 1 single crochet. If you encounter a previous yarn tail during this process, you can hide it as you crochet, at the position where 4 chain stitches are picked up adjacently. Correspondingly work 4 single crochets. Below is the motif 3 position. Refer to the chart to pick up the gaps along the edge and the center of the starting chain. Crochet the corresponding number of single crochets. Upon encountering the DTR position, correspondingly work 8 single crochets. Afterward, at the motif 3 position, follow the previous method and chart. Crochet the corresponding number of single crochets. Continue all the way down to the motif 5 position. Upon reaching the corresponding position, refer to the chart and work the corresponding single crochets. After completing, continue downward following the earlier method. Separately pick up stitches at motif 3 and motif 5 positions and work the corresponding single crochets. Once the edge of motif 3 is finished, continue downward to the collar area. Refer to the chart to pick up 1 stitch along the edge or the edge gap. Work the corresponding single crochets. Finish with the last stitch. Leave the remaining stitches unworked. At this point, the first row is completed. For rows 2 through 10, work back and forth within the first row area. No new stitch techniques or methods are used. You can directly refer to the chart for crocheting. When encountering a stitch, pick up the stitch. When encountering a chain space, pick up the chain space. Work the edge stitch into the top chain of the beginning chain. And pick up both loops for the stitch. If you can't find it precisely, pick up the gap between the beginning chain and the adjacent stitch, or insert the hook into the edge space. After finishing here, you need to fasten off the yarn. Once done, start crocheting row 11. Here, you'll work along the side edges of rows 110, as well as on the top. This is worked on the right side of the fabric. Locate the right side of row 2. At the edge stitch, find the insertion point to join the yarn. Make one chain as your beginning chain. Work down by picking up the side gaps or spaces, and correspondingly make single crochets. After completing the side of row 10, continue with 3 chain stitches. Then work a CH3SL picket. From now on, I'll simply call it picket. First, make 3 chain stitches. Then pick up the first chain of these 3 chains. Insert the hook under both loops of the chain and work 1 slip stitch. This completes the picket. Continue moving to the left. Pick up the adjacent chain space. Work 7 double crochets. After completing, pick up the position of the second double crochet on the left. Work 1 single crochet into that stitch. Then skip 1 space. Pick up the next space and work 5 double crochets. Then make a picket. Start with 3 chain stitches. Pick the stitch of the double crochet below. Take the front loop, and the loop on the left. Then work 1 slip stitch. This completes the picket. Continue following the chart for the rest of the work. Later, make picots above the double crochets as shown. For slip stitches, always insert the hook through the front loop, and the loop on the left. Work all the way down to the edge of row 10 on the other side. Finish the picots along this side edge. Continue downward with 3 chain stitches. Work 1 single crochet into that stitch. Then pick up the stitch in the chain space below and work 1 slip stitch. Then make 1 beginning chain. Work single crochets into each corresponding edge stitch going downward. Keep working until you reach the edge position of row 2. When you arrive at the corresponding position, pick up the edge of row 2 and work 1 single crochet. Then pick up the edge of row 1. Work 1 slip stitch to secure. Then fasten off the yarn. If you want the collar edge and bottom edge to connect neatly for a better appearance, you can pick up the edge of the collar. Thread the needle with the yarn. Pull the reserved yarn through. Then on the wrong side, secure and hide the yarn tail inside the fabric. Please complete this step on your own. At this point, row 11 is completed. That concludes the crocheting process for the bottom edge. When wearing it, simply fasten a brooch at a suitable position on the chest. This secures the brooch in place. Up to this point, the entire process of making the garment has been fully explained. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.